Hello, 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 and welcome back to our fabulous show. Always appreciate it when you have the chance to join. My name is Kelly Wright.
And I'm James Ernest, and we're here all week this week with our special guest and my friend Molly Lewis.
Molly Lewis.
I'm also here. Yay!
Molly Lewis. Molly, why did James ask you on?
Well, I mean, we're neighbors. We live in the same town, but we haven't seen each other because of the global panini. So I guess this is how we get reacquainted.
Yes, ravenous land sharks walk the earth and keep us from leaving our homes. It's so good to see you, Molly.
So nice to see you.
Molly, it looks like you have professional equipment. Do you podcast as well?
I am also a Twitch streamer, not to brag, but I'm in many different facets of content making.
Got some content for you today, kids. Making some content.
Thanks for the biddies.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
I don't know what James has told you. I'm primarily a singer-songwriter from the Pacific Northwest, from California originally. I also have been doing a Twitch stream as kind of a lockdown project where we watch Huell Hauser, the California public television presenter, who is just like kind of California's dad, and I play ambient ukulele over that. That's mainly it. That's mainly what I do.
I'm hoping that you'll be able to do some ambient ukulele for us as well. Then I'm excited. I'm excited. I see instruments hanging behind you. So
there's a whole pedal chain involved. You know how it is, plugging things in and replugging them. Yeah,
of course. We had that issue this morning before we were able to join with each other. But you know, you turn it off, you turn it on, you hit it a few times. A little percussive maintenance always works. Love it.
Blow into the cartridge holes. Yeah,
love it. Exactly. So what is your Twitch handle? Let's get that out there first.
It's twitch.tv/MollyLele.
Molly Lele, like ukulele.
Yeah. Lylele is how that's spelled.
Excellent. I know since you and James are friends, what's the history? Let me know.
I think when I met James...
I don't even know that.
You were, I believe I was singing a song about having Stephen Fry's baby that I just finished writing. And James, I think, and Mike Selinker were juggling, and there was some puzzle element involved over a series of
we met at Woodstock. I
believe
that.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I got to see the juggling side first, which not a lot of people get to see these days.
Yeah, Mike and I. Well, I think we did part of that presentation live. I remember this was several years ago. We did a. Was Woodstock a charity thing, or was I just the one who didn't get paid? We recorded a series of juggling tricks, which, of course, because Mike Selinker was involved, were also a puzzle, and performed one of them live in Seattle, and then the other three were on video for the other legs of Woodstock.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of a geek vaudeville sort of thing that toured the country back when, like, Twitter wasn't racist. Sort of that sort of golden era of geekdom.
Yep. Oy, 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 oy. So you saw them juggling, and you thought, those are the people I want to be friends with.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm sure there must have been an interstitial step.
I mean, like, Adam Savage was there and Will Wheaton, and I saw juggling and puzzles and went, these are the cool kids.
Okay, got it.
Or the accessible kids, you know, you can think of it that way. When Will Wheaton is busy, there's always me.
Yeah, he was putting on, they were doing a Troll-a-Low bit, do you remember this? There were, like, ill-fitting wigs involved.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, those were the good days of the internet.
What a whirlwind.
What a world we live in.
Yeah.
But we have we've since been on several Jonathan Colton cruises together. We wrote a song for Patrick Rothfuss together during the TAC campaign, and we game together every blue moon, which we were trying to set that up again today. We'll see if it can happen.
Hope so.
Well, Molly, James and I started this podcast just shortly after the pandemic locked us down. And that's how we came up with the name because, that's where we were, home, here all week. Mm-hmm. And so that's how it started, and it kind of kept us sane, moderately sane. Yeah. But we decided
I'm off the wagon. I am not sane.
We decided just to keep this crazy ship going. So you are your show number 63, I believe. So you are our 63rd episode today.
All right.
Thank you and welcome for joining.
And roughly our 6th in-person guest.
Yes, roughly. And they've all been James's guests. So I have to line up people now.
Yeah, all multiples of 3. This feels very lucky. I'm very
exactly. So so what have you been doing during the pandemic besides streaming? Streaming, I know, keeps you in touch with some seriously strange characters that are out there. But what have you been doing to kind of like keep you at level, at balance?
I'm flattered that you think I'm at level and at balance.
I think she means to try to keep you at level.
At least
We've only
try.
just-
Try.
If I give the impression of being balanced. No, I mean, really, the streaming has been a big part of it. I've personally really enjoyed the general, like, physical reality of lockdown. Like, there's sort of the psychic reality of, like, oh, maybe I'll never hug my mom again or whatever.
Right.
And that's, kind of a toll. It takes a toll. But I am a dyed-in-the-wool introvert, I learned. I just really enjoy just, me and my doodle pad and my audiobooks. And just, I was already kind of living a lifestyle, James knows this from all the game nights he's invited me to, of just, months at a time, just kind of not leaving my house or seeing people. It was already kind of, if there weren't
I only knew
commitments,
that
I
you
wouldn't
weren't
leave
at
the
my house. I wasn't sure you were locked into yours.
Oh, yeah, I don't take it personally. I was turning down every invitation.
There are many other people who also don't come to my game nights, and I'm sure they're out there in the world having fun.
It's charitable of you to assume.
Yeah, as my husband said, this pandemic, he's been training for this for about 40 years, so it was perfect for him. So
Yeah.
total introvert. And
Telling my
me-
family what Discord is,
Yeah, okay. as my mom says, the HB or the VC, what is that technology kind of stuff? She's listening to the show, so hopefully she'll be getting a chuckle out of that one. Mom, I love you. So for an extrovert like myself, really tough, super tough. So over the last year, I have come to appreciate kind of not having to be socially busy all the time, where I felt it was something that, I liked seeing my friends and I liked hanging out with my friends, but at the same time, when you're doing the work-a-day thing and you're putting in, 40 plus hours there, and there's that limited time to take care of your home, I realized I've come to appreciate really staying home and being very selective now with the social stuff that I choose. And it's great. I really appreciate that. So I slowly have been dipping my foot back into seeing groups of friends I know that are vaccinated and we're all safe. And but at the same time, I kind of like staying home. I didn't know I would say that. Yeah.
Well, it's still the very top of our program, only 7 minutes in, and it's time for Conversation Starters with Molly Lewis.
Oh.
Brought to you by Ask Your Father. Tonight's Conversation Starter comes from a list of conversations to ask a girl from the old reliable internet, which is, what do you wish people would stop asking you?
Oh, what do I wish people would stop asking?
Go ahead, Molly, please.
The question I get quite a bit is, have I had Stephen Fry's baby by now? Which is just not on the table.
No, that's not where you want to keep them. They roll right off.
No, you think I would have said something by now? Like,
It would have made
who
the
do you
news.
think I am? I'm also not a huge fan.
Woman in music gets what she asked for.
Area
would be top
woman,
story.
self-fulfilling
Area
prophecy.
woman gets what she asked for.
Do you, as far as for Stephen Fry, are you an avid fan of his books and all of his stuff, or just is it more just interview content, or just kind of the whole thing?
I mean, I enjoy the stuff he said about the Catholic Church as a, having been raised Catholic myself. Honestly, the song I wrote about having his baby was based on a conversation I had with an ex who was trying to exercise dominion over me, my body, and my choices.
Okay.
And so I wrote that song out of spite and then put it on the internet, and then unironically, Stephen Fry's people got in touch about it. So really was reaping what I sowed. It was honestly terrifying.
So you met him. You talked with him.
It was really bizarre. It was so first time I played that song was when I met James it was the same night, and then kind of tested it on the road, wrote a bridge eventually. Like, I think when I started to play it, it was like, and I don't have words, but here will be the chorus. Just kind of was pretty raw. And once it was finished, I put it on the internet, and then a week later, some folks at Harvard University were like, "Hey, we're having Stephen Fry over next week. We're a student organization, so we can't bring you out, but if you could get yourself to Boston, we're having a ceremony for him, and we could make you a part of that."
Oh my
And
God.
so I did this like, "Hey,
Wow.
Twitter, I can't tell you why, but I need to be in Boston next week. Can I borrow $900?
I am fascinated by how quickly that all happened because, from the outside, I just assumed that there was a lot of time in this process, but I guess not.
I did not have time to second guess myself
That's
about
amazing.
it. Yeah,
No,
and
the
I was,
water began to boil immediately. Good.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
and I was just like, "Oh, ribbit, what's happening?" And so yeah, it was they put it into he gave like an hour and a half speech about humanism just off the dome because that's what he does.
Yeah.
And then they had Q&A with some students from this organization and put me last in that line. So I walk up to the podium and it was like, Mr. Fry, blah, 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 Hugh Laurie, Mr. Catholic Church, et cetera, et cetera. And then I walk up there and apparently he had seen the video because this is on the internet somewhere. He goes, "Oh, Molly." I went, "Oh, no." Like, "Hi, Mr. Fry, my name is Molly." And he goes, "I know." So I played him the song. I said that my question comes to you in the form of a serenade, plinkety plink. And if I hadn't done all those Wootstocks and had it to muscle memory, I would have vomited.
Yeah.
But then I didn't. And he crossed the stage towards me, and I was like, "I'm going to get punched in the face. Okay, better face the music." And he kissed me on the forehead and said, "Thank you." So that's the extent of my interaction with him.
How
That's amazing.
He's an intimidating figure too. So
Oh, he's like 6'7" or something.
I know. I can't imagine just the feeling of ice water running through your veins as he's walking over, going, "This is it. This is the end of my life. This is how it ends."
Yeah. I asked for this technically.
I did. I put it out in the universe, and here it is. Wow. So the thing that I get tired of being asked about is when people find out about my background, that I do voiceovers and I've done radio. They're like, "Well, do something. Say something. Like, what do you sound like on the radio?" It's like, I sound like this on the radio. Say something. So I have to put on the radio voice and go, Q95.5. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, okay, that's great."
Okay, that works. That's cool.
66 degrees in the big city. Yeah, so
Is there-
traffic or...
Well, I tell you, the thing that I wish people would stop asking me, which was what immediately came into my head when I wrote this question, was I wish people would stop asking me simple rules questions. I got this email this week that said, "I have a simple rules question for you. Why didn't you include Rule X in Game Y?" And I'm like, oh my God, that's a simple question with an incredibly complicated answer.
Do you get that a lot?
No.
Okay. All right.
But I mean, I used to.
But every time you're like, "No
but
more."
every time, oh God, I wish people would stop asking me this. Because it's like, you want me to justify a decision in the negative, and I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, that's pretty darn challenging. And plus, you're the designer of the game. It's like, if you wanted those rules, go make your own game.
House rules.
I guess what I should do is get some mileage out of it and write an article like for my website that is an answer to this question.
Yeah.
Because I said so. Because I did that. My choice.
Because it was better that way.
So,
Frustratingly asked questions. Just make a section on it.
It's,
So, Molly,
yeah, go ahead.
since you do gaming with James, what are some of your go-to games?
In the context of James or just generally?
No, just in general. I mean, James has invited you to games night, so you're a fan of gaming. So just in general, it doesn't have to be James's games, but it would be nice if it was James's games. But
I'm right
no
here,
pressure.
you guys. I can hear you.
I can hear every word you're saying. So it's like if you were having a group of people over and you're like, "I haven't seen him for a while." What's kind of your go-to? What do you usually take out?
My go-to sort of icebreaker game, especially if it's people where I don't know their personal level of gaming, I'll go to something like the Oink games, Fake Artist Goes to New York or Nine Tiles. My recent favorite has been Wavelength, which is the sort of party discussion game. And it's got... It's just the design of the objects are nice, and so there's sort of a wow factor to putting the thing in and going, "Here's how the wavelength board works."
Okay.
And so it was exciting. My first post-vax trip was to see my family, and we drove down instead of flying, so I could take my entire bag of games, and I had code names in there, and Fake Artist Goes to New York, and I think Wavelength, and my aunt contributed Throw Burrito, which I unwrapped and put back in the box and put away, so it looked like we'd played it at least once.
Oh, good.
I should do that. I should take all of the games in my house that are still in the shrink wrap. I should at least take off the shrink wrap just to make them feel better.
Yeah, and then if somebody's like, "Oh, I love that game, let me show you how to play," then it's not, they don't...
And they'll open it up and find that it's unpunched and go, "Oh, you lied to me."
Right.
You said
not
you were
a game
interested.
designer.
My heart's broken.
Oh, I am a game designer. All the games I play are not done yet.
And you have, your games are often, card-based. There's not a lot of bric-a-brac to, crack open.
No, in fact, I recently did a game that was quite at the opposite end of the spectrum, and I had a client say, "Make us a game like Game X," and I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." So I did that. 2 years later, they're like, "Yeah, we don't think this is really for us. You should pitch it to the people who made Game X." And I was like, "Dudes, they already have that."
It is a mid-show break, and so I believe it is time for a word from our sponsor. This episode of Here All Week is brought to you by Ask Your Father.
Mother,
Yes, my child.
what's right for me?
How do you mean, sweetheart?
I mean, how shall I choose? What to do? What to wear? Whom to love?
I don't know, dear. Maybe you should ask your father.
That's right. Ask Your Father is a free service brought to you by the patriarchy and the opinions of self-centered man types everywhere.
Seriously?
Oh, yes, dear. I've been asking your father for years.
And with good reason, Ask Your Father has all the answers to all of life's hardest questions.
But how does it work?
Ask Your Father speaks with the condescending paternal voice of millions of real men all around the world.
Ask Your Father can help young ladies make important decisions about their career, their health, and their place in the world.
Wow, I can't even.
Ooh, tell us more.
Say, young missy, are you sure those cargo pants are the right fashion choice? How are you going to attract the boys?
Actually, I was going hiking.
Excellent. A little exercise will be good for your looks. But why not try wearing a short skirt and showing off those legs? You'll catch more bears with honey.
What does that even mean?
I think bears means boys, honey.
That's right, young lady. It's a rhetorical technique called a metaphor.
Oh my God, Mother!
He's right, honey.
And you won't be turning any heads in those comfortable shoes. Consider some fashionable heels instead. They'll improve your posture and help you get a man.
Mother, can we talk?
Of course we can, sweetheart.
That's right, young lady. Women are always free to chat amongst themselves about all the great advice they get from Ask Your Father.
Cool, thanks.
And once you've got a man of your own, you should also try Ask Your Man, another free service from the makers of Ask Your Father.
That's right. Ask Your Father by the patriarchy. And also look for Ask Your Man. I use it every day.
Ask Your Father. We're always there because you always need us. Ask your mother about Ask Your Father today.
Ask Your Father. They also do steaks.
Oh, the patriarchy. You know everything.
You know what? We take money from the sponsors that'll give it. That's all I've got to say.
Hey, that's great. We're still waiting on Expiration Charlie's, buddy. That's what we're
Oh,
still...
I can't wait to do that ad.
Yep.
I'm going to spend a week at a hotel next week. I'm sure I'll have plenty of grist for Expiration Charlie's.
So I
Hey,
need
folks,
to ask you...
I've got
just
a
want to
trivia
ask you,
question.
James.
Yes.
I'm sorry, James. I keep stepping on you. I just want to know how
Ow,
Vegas...
my foot.
I know. I just checking in on Vegas real quick. Everything okay? You're not
Everything
melting?
is just as hot as last week.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Well, folks,
All right.
It's time for trivia questions for two. It's inspired by the latest craze of billionaires blasting off into space and trying to build Elysium for real. The makers of Here All Week bring you this selection of trivia about running hard in the opposite direction. Here All Week presents a race to the bottom. Trivia questions about the lowest of the low. Are you both ready?
Yes.
Question 1. This 1864 science fiction novel by Jules Verne follows Professor Otto Lindenbrock, an eccentric German scientist who believes there are volcanic tubes that reach deep underground.
I believe what is 20,000...
Oh.
You may wish to conspire before you would give it a single answer.
Oh, I see.
Molly,
not a
I'm going to
buzzer
give it...
system.
I'm going to give it to you, Molly.
I hope Journey to the Center of the Earth is a Jules Verne.
You're close. It is Voyage. I thought it was Journey
Okay.
to
Okay.
Voyage to the
Okay.
Center of the Earth. According to Wikipedia, the category of subterranean fiction existed well before Verne. Can you imagine?
No.
Like shelves and shelves of books of tunneling stories. Question 2. According to the 1973 Jim Croce song, who was the baddest man in the whole damn town?
I believe
Kelly?
that was Leroy Brown.
It was indeed. Did he have any adjectives in front of his name?
Bad.
That is correct. Bad Leroy Brown. He was, according to tradition, badder than Old King Kong and meaner than a junkyard dog. He also apparently was pretty crappy at knife fighting. Question number 3. Located in the Gauteng province of South Africa, the Maponig is the world's deepest what?
Located in the where, I'm sorry?
It's in the Gauteng province of South Africa.
Is it a mine?
Yeah, do you know what kind?
Oh,
A diamond mine?
I was going to guess diamond mine too. When I write these questions, I write what I think the answer is, and then I
Is
find
it-
out that I'm wrong.
Okay,
is it
great.
Tanzanite?
It's a gold mine. Tanzanite
Okay.
doesn't come from South Africa. Tanzanite only comes from Tanzania. Everyone knows this.
Well, there you go.
It'll only
The current operating depth of the, I have the pronunciation here somewhere, Maponik mine reaches from 3.1 to 3.8 kilometers. Future mining is expected to further deepen the shaft to 4.22 kilometers. That is
And
a
there,
that is
and
a
in that
deep
mine,
cut.
they will find that Jules Verne book.
Yes, they will. They'll find
Yep.
a tunnel to the dinosaurs that live inside the earth. Question 4. A former mining engineer himself, this American president helped the U.S. race to the bottom in 1929 in office at the beginning of the Great Depression.
That's Hoover.
Does he have a first name?
That would be
Herbert.
Herbert Hoover is correct. He lent his name to newspaper blankets, empty pants pockets, cardboard shoe soles, and most notably, sprawling villages of the homeless. Automobiles pulled by horses because gasoline was scarce were called Hoover wagons.
And then Hoovervilles and Hoover wagons. Yes.
Yep. And Hoover blankets is the newspapers, and Hoover flags is the empty pants pockets, and Hoover leather is the cardboard shoe soles. Hoover
And didn't
everything.
he promise a chicken in every pot? Something like that?
I don't know. I didn't look that up.
Okay.
Question 5. This traditional children's game is ranked as the world's worst game on BoardGameGeek.com, scoring lower than more than 20,000 other traditional and published games.
Oh.
Is it Operation? No.
Is it Snakes and Ladders?
You're guessing very well. You've just guessed 2 games in the bottom 10, but the absolute loser is Tic-Tac-Toe.
Okay.
Wow.
Board Game Geek, the most popular online tabletop gaming resource, represents a community of players who feel compelled to leave a bad review of Tic-Tac-Toe. Other games in the bottom 10 include pretty much every game you ever played as a child, including Candyland, Chutes and Ladders, Trouble, and Monopoly.
Okay.
Question 6.
I'm surprised Monopoly's in the bottom. They have kind of
Oh,
an
no,
avid
Monopoly's
adult following,
awful.
don't
It's
they?
BGG. It's not
Yeah.
an actual list of the world's worst
Yeah.
games. It's the games they think are the worst or
Right.
Yeah.
want to talk about the most.
I gotcha.
I'm only proud that my games aren't as popular as these, or else they'd be in the bottom 10 too. Question 6. The lowest part of a wooden sailing ship is a specific timber in the hull. What is its official name?
Are we still on the subject of mines?
No,
That's the,
it's
that's
a
the
ship.
keel.
It's
That's the keel.
close.
Okay.
Technically, below the keel is the false keel.
Oh,
Okay.
I
that's
am
a
not
trick
kidding.
question.
It's not a trick
Judges?
question. If you knew
Judges.
sailing, you would know this. The false keel is usually constructed in several pieces, scarfed together and attached to the underside of the keel. Its job is to protect the rest of the ship from everyday damage, including the bolts that secure the actual keel just above it. Question 7. Of the 10 Fast and Furious movies, including the spin-off Hobbs and Shaw, which one had the worst opening weekend?
I would imagine as one of the earlier ones.
I don't know. Fast and Furious 2, The Furiousing.
Number 2 was called Too Fast, Too Furious. But the answer is number 3, the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Why is it the worst opening?
Well, I don't know because it isn't actually rated as the worst movie. That would be number 4. But I think on first blush, the fans were not excited because it seemed to contain none of the original cast members.
Okay.
Yeah.
And question 8, finally, for our musically inclined guests, which is the lowest note on a standard 88-key piano? The question is a multiple choice. Is it A, B, B, C, C, G, or D, A?
That's so obnoxious.
Oh my God. You're making me reach back, way back. I'm not even gonna. No, not doing
It's
it.
A, B, B, C, C, D, or D, A.
C is actually G, but we can rule
C
it
is
out.
G.
We can
it's
rule.
ridiculous.
Yes.
I think is it D, A?
If you answer D, A, then you know your piano keys. Thanks for playing Race to the Bottom on here all week.
I don't know my piano keys. I'm so sorry. I don't play. I just sing. That's all I do. I don't play. Speaking of playing, Molly, you have released music into the public, and you've how many albums? What's your discography?
Good. I have let me think about this. 3 albums, really. I had
Okay.
an album I put out, demos I put out as a college student. That's out of print now, so don't go looking for it. And then I have a live album called Same Old Songs But Live, which is all the songs from the Brown album before mentioned, plus a few others. And then Nobody asked me to, and it was a terrible business idea, but I wrote a birthday/Thanksgiving musical called Thanksgiving versus Christmas.
Oh, nice.
Which
Nice.
I put up live at the Triple Door, recorded, released that as an album. Printed way too many copies of that, so if you would like some, I'm sitting on a mountain of them.
I know how that feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how that feels.
The sort of price break is $500 to $1,000. It just
Yeah,
seems like
exactly.
it's too good to...
I made a DVD once, and the price for 1,000 total was less than the price for 500, and my guy was like, I just don't want to make 500.
Yeah.
So now I have 990 of those just sitting around my house.
Time to start fish scaling them on an old 70s van. There you go. I also see under a discography, it says, I made you a CD, but I eated it.
That's the Brown album.
That is the Brown
album.
Okay.
Yeah. Put that out in 2008, if you could tell by that timely reference.
Yeah. So when you said the Brown album, I thought maybe it was like the White Album with the Beatles, and that was another fourth one that was in there. So, but awesome. Are you on streaming services as well?
Yeah, I have a single out called Pantsuit Sasquatch. It's a bummer song about Hillary Clinton, and that's on Spotify. Is doing quite well, to my surprise.
Okay.
And I have a song about the Lincoln assassination that's out there called Our American Cousin, and a song about another timely thing in 2007, that astronaut that attacked a lady in the Air Force because of some love triangle situation. I wrote a song about her. And so there's a song about that out there called Road
That's
Trip.
some dark material, my friend.
A lot of assassination ballads, kind of more than I would have expected 10 years ago.
You know what? That's a really unused niche. So keep going.
It's
Keep
the
going.
It's a
kind of
good
folk
album
music.
title, too, frankly, when you have enough of them.
Yeah.
So what's coming up now that restrictions are being lifted? Are you planning on doing any live things in the future soon, or you just kind of just hang tight for a while and just release kind of like live online shows?
Just kind of hanging in there. Yeah, because I figure, I mean, it feels kind of like touch and go to plan things for the fall or the winter at this point. And I'm really enjoying sort of honing the sort of at-home streaming thing. Really, I realized it's kind of my Pee-wee's Playhouse fantasy that I've been living out over lockdown. Just kind of having all my things in my house talking, and just, you visit Pee-wee in the Playhouse and then Pee-wee leaves. Like, that's the nature of the show. Yeah. So just kind of, a demented sort of Mr. Rogers vibe is what I'm trying to cultivate.
Excellent. Do you have enough sweaters for that?
I've got my NASA fleece. I've got various layers. I'm good on layers.
Good. I'm so glad on layers. So are you in the Washington area? Are you in California? Where are you?
I'm in Seattle presently.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Looking out over what are the mountains to the west? Are those the Olympics?
Yes.
Those are the Cascades. Yeah.
Those are the Olympics. Those are our dormant volcanoes, whereas the Cascades are still our active volcanoes.
Active ones,
so,
right.
So good. You're looking at the Olympic Peninsula. It's got great sunset views. So.
Oh, certainly does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
absolutely.
during fire season.
Oh yes.
Oh
Certainly
yes. James, what you got coming up this week?
This week, I am going to a week-long semi-private poker party at a local hotel. It's weirdly risky because COVID keeps flashing back into reality, but I look forward to meeting new friends who all like to play cards. What about you?
For myself, I am. I finally found someone who is willing to help me with my pack rat tendency. So she's a local woman who
She's going to bring even more stuff over to your house? That's cool.
She is. I'm going to
Saves
build
you a
the
lot
nest.
of legwork.
Going to build the nest even bigger. No, actually, she was referred to
I
me.
recommend wet newspapers.
Well, I've at least got the stacks there. I just need to wet them down now, so we get that moldy old library
'em.
smell.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. No, she's really going to help. I have. It's kind of like after reading several articles of what the Swedes do called death cleaning. I realized that there's a lot of stuff that I just need to get rid of, that I don't want to burden on anybody. Not that I'm planning my death anytime soon. I'm fine, guys. I'm completely safe. Don't worry about that. But I'm just tired of all the crap, and I'm tired of dealing with all the crap. So she is going to help me stay on target, because as an adult with ADHD, I can't do it. My system is not working anymore. So I reached out for help, and it was challenging. I almost canceled the appointment for the consult first when she came by. But I didn't. I kept it, and she's going to start helping me within the coming weeks. So that's what I got.
I may have to get her info from you if that works out for you, because My partner and I, we both have ADHD. It's a real stuff nest over here.
It is a stuffed nest. I understand your dilemma. It's challenging. And then you start the project and you're overwhelmed and then you walk away. Yay! And it's always just halfway done.
I forgot
So
because
I'll
it's
be happy
behind
to
me in my object permanence. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like if I don't see it, it's not there. La 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 la. James, do you have any idea what we're talking about?
Well, I have a lot of stuff in my first house, so I just got another one.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good for you.
No, I have. I think I have this place pretty well under control. But the layers of historical bull that have built up in my actual basement are fairly embarrassing. And yes, I would not wish that cleanup on anyone, including myself.
Okay, so it's just going to stay and you'll put tarps over it. Never existed.
I will. Yeah, there's tarps on top of tarps. There's sawdust and sandpaper and probably dead animals. We leave a lot of doors open. So yeah, that's just it. My house
Probably
will be my
dead
grave.
animals.
Just buried in it like the Pharaoh. Yeah.
Yep,
Right.
yep. Like those crazy old brothers back in history, the twins who died under their towers of stuff. So and then they found the skeletons, I think, like 2 years later, buried under stuff. The one guy ate nothing but oranges and crazy. Anyway, I'll put a link to that story on our page. It's fascinating.
Please do.
Molly, thank you so much for joining us. I will put links to your items as well that are out there so people can follow you and read up on you. And we'll make sure we get your Twitter link out there. And James, please write on your blog on why you hate answering that question that we talked about
Oh
earlier.
yeah, that may have to happen this week.
Yeah, so I will link James's Crab Fragment Labs blog. And for myself and on behalf of our guest and James, thank you so much for joining us today. As always, please comment on anything you would like to hear us talk about, or if there's any guests you want us to have on the show that maybe we can try. I mean, we've got fingers in all sorts of locations, but we may know them, we may not, but we'll certainly try. And this is a call out to Jonathan Colton. Please rebook James on the Joko Cruise. Thank you.
I've never been booked on the Joko Cruise.
Well, then just book him
I
anyway.
merely
He's great.
show up and pay my fee like everyone else.
Come on, Jonathan Colton. Hire this man. Thank you so much for joining us today. As always, Molly, thank you. Have a great week. A pleasure. Please join us again when you have something new coming out. We would love to talk about it and help you get the word out. My name is Kelly Wright.
And I'm James Ernest, and we're here all week.